This is Matt for Boxing Social in association with William Hill and Empire Fights. I'm delighted to be joined by Mike Coppinger. We're here in New York, huge fight week, Madison Square Garden, Josh Taylor, Teofimo Lopez. This is a terrific fight for boxing fans, 50-50 fight. A lot of variables are coming into this off two very unconvincing performances. What do you make of this fight? It's a great fight.
Yeah, like you said, both guys really have to win here. They both have a lot to prove, and that's when you get the best out of both guys, I think, in boxing. Josh Taylor, I thought he lost to Catterall in a close fight, and I certainly thought Sandor Martin beat Teofimo Lopez in a close fight. So you could argue that both guys are coming off a loss, and they know that they didn't put it their best in their last fight. So I think both guys are going to come and bring it for this one.
What do you make of the build-up in this? I know Teo's vocal quite a bit. Josh isn't shy of having some verbals and getting involved, but did it go too far with some of the comments especially from the Teo side of things, talking about killing people, or are we just numb to it now, kind of thing?
Yeah, it's one of those things where you don't want to hear that kind of talk, but my counter to that, just to play devil's advocate, is that you can't act on it. It's not like it's something they can act on. It's not like he's saying he's going to attack him after the fight or something. But yeah, you don't want to joke about, you don't want to hear that kind of talk in a sport where people do get seriously hurt.
Who's coming into this with the advantage? Who do you see as coming into this with that one step ahead? Or is it just a 50-50 split?
I think you have to favor Josh Taylor. He's the naturally bigger guy, naturally stronger guy. I think he's a very underrated fighter. Beat Jose Ramirez, dropped him twice, beat Regis Prograis in a close, clear fight. And he's an incredible inside fighter. I think stylistically, you look at his inside game versus Teofimo's inside game. If he can insert his will and really get him in the clinch and bully him in there, I think Taylor's going to have his way.
Moving on from this fight, but Devin Haney, let's talk about him a little bit. Obviously got the nod over Vasily Lomachenko. Talks of him now being out of contract, and Bob, I think, has said, look, there's 3 fights we could make for him. Talks to Shakur Stevenson. What do you want to see Devin do next? Devin's never sort of shy of saying, look, I'll fight whoever kind of thing, but what do you want to see him do?
Of course, the biggest fight out there is Gervonta Davis. I don't see it happening next, but that would be the biggest by far. If it's not going to be Gervonta Davis, then number 2 would be a Lomachenko rematch. But I don't know if we're going to see that either.
Do you think? Why do you think that the fight with Gervonta Davis might not happen next? From whose side?
Oh, no, any side in particular. I just think it's a tough fight to make when you're talking about, a fight that's going to be a big money fight. Both guys are going to want a lot of money, and rightfully so. I just think and Haney hasn't worked with the PBC yet. Doesn't mean he can't. But
sort of opens it up now. The fact he's a free agent again, though, they can move around, start talking to other pies. Do you like to see that? Obviously, I know promotional companies like to tie these fighters down, but ultimately it's for their benefit. But when these fighters can move around, like you see Canelo, he bounces over to the PBC to fight Caleb Plant, goes back to Matchroom. Do you like that when you see the fighters at the end of the contract? Because then there's that chance that these fights can happen.
Yeah, whatever the fighters want, I think it's always great to have flexibility in a sport that's so fractured. If you're a big star, then look at Canelo, he can fight, like you said, whoever he wants. So I think it's great. Now it's not as great for the promoters, and maybe sometimes it does hurt the promoters trying to make the big fights because then they want to protect their guys and not have them lose. That's the downside of it.
What do you make of this heavyweight saga? We keep hearing things about Saudi Arabia. It's becoming like the Conor Benn thing now, where I think we just keep talking. But you're the man that hears a lot. So what have you heard, if anything, and what's your sort of gut feeling that we will see? We think we will see something special in Saudi end of year?
I think the Saudis certainly want to do it, and the desire is there, the money is there. So usually that's enough to make something happen. But you're talking about 4 different fighters, 4 different teams, and a lot of egos at play. Easier said than done. I hope they can get it done because it would be historic. But
WBC, Mauricio Sulaiman has come out and said that it's not no fault of Tyson Fury's that fights aren't getting made, and he said that there's a possibility that Anthony Joshua could be made mandatory to fight Tyson Fury. Is that what do you make of that?
I think anytime Mauricio Sulaiman talks, I stop listening because he's full of it. Nothing that he says ever comes to fruition. He makes up the rules as he goes along. Jamal Charlo hasn't defended his title in over 2 years, hasn't been stripped. Yet other guys who haven't defended their titles in maybe 6 months get stripped. Mauricio Sulaiman, bad for boxing.
Wow, didn't expect that. We're finally getting to see Errol Spence and Terence Crawford. I was praying this fight would get made. It now has been made. I think boxing's sort of turning a corner now. We're starting to see these big fights. There's a bit more caution to the wind. Do you think we're sort of stepping into that era of boxing now where we're seeing a little bit more risks taken by these fighters? We're getting past that sort of the Floyd Mayweather marketing off an undefeated record and let's go kind of attitude.
Well, certainly, I think everything in life is timing and momentum, right? So I think now we have a lot of momentum. I think when you have Gervonta Davis and Ryan Garcia fight, then the other guys say, wait, what am I doing? I want to be in big fights too. I want to make big money. And it becomes more and more activity. And the reality is the fighters are the bosses, the promoters work for the fighters, and the fighters are seeming to remember that now. And props to all these fighters that are doing their best and putting their necks out there to make the fights that the fans want to see.
Absolutely. Well, look, Mike, thanks for giving us a quick catch-up. It's been a pleasure speaking to you. Hopefully we can catch up maybe later in the week.
Thanks, man. Great to see you.